Hello everyone. Very good morning, very good evening. Welcome to my channel. This is Mallikarjun here. So, as you all aware that I did a recent quick announcement on my upcoming database course. Just to recap on that, the new batch, new database course, new batch is going to start on 15 September 2022. I already said the insight about the course, when the course timings, course durations, what is the fee structure, and then uh, how about the demo classes, everything I covered in my recent announcement. Just to recap on that, so if you see, demo classes are scheduled on 15 September and 16 September, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST, 2 hours on Thursday and 2 hours on Friday, 15 September 2022 and 16 September 2022. And then this is a Zoom link, and then the Zoom meeting ID, and then the passcode. These are the live demo classes. I request everyone to participate on this particular live demo classes, and a lot of live interactions, a lot of questions, a lot of interactions with all the audience and all the participants. A lot of things are going to discuss on this particular live demo classes. And then some of the other fact about the course are course fees is of 10,000 INR, 10,000 Indian rupees, and then the demo class again 15 September, 16 September, 2 days, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. IST, and actual course is going to start on 19th September. 15th and 16th are going to be Thursday and Friday, and 17 and 18 are weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is the one, 19 September 2022. Monday is the one which our regular classes are going to start. Right, so that's a quick recap what we covered in my recent announcement. But in this particular session here, I'm purely talk about the course curriculum. Right, so if you go to my blog, malik034blogspot.com, already opened here. Let me go to my blog. Yeah, this is my blog, and then go to trainings, and then go to database course, and then you'll land up in this particular database course page here. And then some of the key notes about this course are: this is going to be weekday batch, right? Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST. No weekends. It's on weekday batches, Monday to Friday. And this is going to be Oracle administration workshop because it's a purely based upon the real-time practical scenarios, live examples, and then everything will be demonstrated on the lab. And then, all the participants or students are going to do a hands-on lab experience on each and every theory or theoretical part. So theory and live demonstration on each topics. Daily sessions will be recorded and uploaded to Google Drive along with the daily commands or logs, whatever we're going to execute. Everything will be captured and then uploaded along with the recorded sessions. So each and every topic has its own lab, quiz workbook, and then all the tools, softwares, ready labs, everything is given in advance. You can prepare and you can ready for your next day classes. Each topic will be having a quiz and multiple choice answers, and every topic will be discussed with the regular interview questions and answers. And then the daily practical task will be given, and then everything will be reviewed in the next session. And then this course is based upon the real time live demonstrations and examples, and based upon the whatever the experience I have it in this IT world. So all together put together and then form this particular course. At the end of the course, we'll be covering resume writing and cover letters, which is very, very important. And then we'll be reviewing each and every topic, sample entry questions and answers. And end of the course also we'll review all together with the sample interview questions and answers. And at the end of the course, we'll be conducting the mock interview. So it is left to individuals to attend this mock interview. It's going to be a real-time experience on the interview session, how it's going to conduct and how it's going to work out. And then again, it's going to be weekday classes, Monday to Friday, daily 2 hours, 9 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST, right? And then the course duration will be approximately 30 to 45 days, around 70 to 90 hours. Again, it may extend based upon the participations, interactions, a lot of questions, queries, and a lot of extra topics will be covered. It may go beyond this 45 days. As long as participants, the students are willing to learn more things and more topics, I'm happy to teach more and more on that. Right. So the course fees, interesting part. So everyone, aware that this is going to be paid course and which is going to be 10,000 Indian rupees. And then you can go ahead and register using this link. And then for more information, you can click this link and then get into that. If I click on this register for this one, So you can go ahead and register with your email ID, phone number, and other things. And then if you want more details, you can go ahead and then check this particular tab. So which is going to talk about the registration link and all those things. Right. So quickly about the course content. First thing is environmental setup. So we'll talk about where you can download the softwares, and then ISO image, Oracle software, Oracle patches, VMware workstation, Oracle VirtualBox, and then installation of VMware workstation, VirtualBox, and installation of Linux, RHEL, OEL, Ubuntu, understanding of the partitions, M repository, basics of Linux, and then installation of custom RPM packages and all those things. Other along with that, some of the commonly used tools like PuTTY, WinSCP, Mobile, everything will be covered as the basics here. That's the starting point of our course. And then followed by Linux and networking basics, DNS, DHCP, name server, forward resolution, reverse resolution, and some of the networking concept like IP addresses, host names, and WinSCP and SCP, copying files and partitions and all those things. Uh, Linux networking and basics will be covered in this day two, chapter two. And in the third chapter, we're gonna start with the installation of various database versions, 11G, 12C, 19C. What are the differences in the installation part? So we'll download the software and we'll install all of these three versions, 11G, 12C, 19C. And then we're going to install using the run installer, GUI mode, or the silent mode, or the response file. There are various methods to install. GUI mode, silent mode, run installer, or the using response file. There are so many methods to install your database. We'll go with all those methods, and then we'll create a database 11G, 12C, 19C with the manual method, again using a response file, again using a silent file, silent method, all those things. Everything will be covered here. And again, in the chapter number 5, creating 11G, 12C, 19C databases. What are the differences? What are the changes? And using a GUI mode, using a DBCA method, that will be covered here. And in the day 6 or the chapter number 6, where we'll be covering the architecture part. We'll be covering based upon 19C container CDBs and PDBs. It's purely based upon 19C database versions and purely on container database CDBs and PDBs. So along with that, we'll be covering 11G and 12C architecture, and we'll do a comparison between 11G, 12C, 19C. What are the differences? What are the improvement in the architecture part? Everything will be covered here as part of this architecture. And then in chapter number 7, Oracle Database Administration, will be deep dive into internal concept of database, where we'll understand the startup shutdown sequences, dependencies of P file, SP file, control file, trace file, alert log files, and your backup files, archive log files, redo log files, all will be covered over here. Understanding of your all the files, internal storage structures, understanding of parameter file, password file, automatic memory management, and difference between SGA, PGA, and internal concept of your SGAs and PGAs, and background processes, and your backend database files. All those things will be covered over here, and followed by your in some more internal in-depth understanding of your storage structure, logical structure of your database called table spaces, segments, extent, and data blocks, and dictionary managed versus locally managed table space, automatic segment management, understanding of your segments, extents, blocks, and the relationship between your data files, and how your data blocks and parameter will be defined inside your parameter files, how we're going to change that, and what are the different block sizes and what are the supported one, all those things. And this particular data block size, how it will directly depend upon your data file size. All those will be compared, and then all will be like discussed in depth understanding here. And then how the data is stored inside the table, everything will be like understood here. The moment somebody do insert statement, how the data is going to store and reside in my table, and logically it is going to store inside my data blocks, how that correlation, everything will be mapped and then showed here as a live demo, right? And then followed by ASM architecture, will be deep dive into ASM concept, ASM internal ASM architecture, like what is ASM architecture, how it looks, how it is different from my database instance, and then why we need a ASM instance, what is the advantage of ASM instance, with and without ASM instance, how the software architecture looks, and then what are the ASM parameters, and then what are the parameter file inside my ASM, how I can start and shut down my ASM instance, and then what's the dependency of my ASM instance via my database instances. What happens if ASM instance go down? What's the impact on my database instance? All will be like understood and then theoretically and practically demonstrated here. right? And then followed by ASM administration, where we're going to deal with the disk group activities, adding a disk, dropping a disk, creating a disk group with a normal redundancy, disk group with a high redundancy and external redundancy. All those will be covered over here. And then adding a disk to existing disk group, and then dropping a disk to disk from the existing disk group. All will be like covered over here. And then followed by chapter number 10, where we're going to talk about PDBs and CDBs, 12C and 19C architecture. This PDBs and CDB came in 12C, and then we'll see the what are the enhancement between 12C and 19C. We'll understand PDBs and CDBs architecture, how CDBs and PDBs correlation works, and then what is the P file, SP file, control file, redo log files, archive log files between my PDBs and CDBs, and then how I can connect from one PDB to other PDB, or from CDB to PDB, or PDB to CDB, and then how I can create my PDBs, how I can create my CDBs, and then how I can clone my PDBs, one PDB as other PDB, cloning my PDB within a within a CDB, or cloning my PDB from existing PDB, or creating a brand new PDB, or creating a PDB from the remote CDB. All those various scenarios we can deal with this particular purely on CDBs and PDBs concept here. And then we'll start with chapter number 11, that is Oracle networking. That's a TNS, listeners, and SQLnet.ora file. How I can connect my database remotely. What is the advantage of password file? How I can connect remotely using a password file, and how normal user can connect to my database remotely. What's the advantage of my listeners? What are the different modes of my listeners? Ready, unknown, blocked, and then all those methods will be discussed here. What's the advantage of TNS files? Where these listener files and TNS files are located, what is my TNS admin location, and then how I can connect to my database using SQL developers or Toad. Everything will be like discussed here. And then chapter number 12, where we can purely talk about users, role, privileges, permissions, how I can create user, how I can drop a user, how I can compare the two user privileges, and how I can create a new user similar to one existing user, and then how I can create a profile and how I can control the resource inside my database. All those will be like, and then also along with that, we'll be talking about quotas, and then we'll be talking about the profile, creating a new profile, dropping the profile, and modifying the users. And then we can talk about more and more internal to my database users, roles, and responsibilities here. And then chapter number 13 purely will talk about RMAN backups and restore and recoveries. And we'll first start with the basics of backups and recoveries. What are the various methods of backups and recoveries? Traditional method, logical method, and RMAN backups. And then how RMAN backup is more advanced than that conventional hot backups or the cold backups. And then we'll try to understand conventional backups like hot backup, cold backup, logical backup, or user managed backup. And then we'll start with the RMAN backup with the full backup, level 0 backup, level 1 backup, cumulative and differential backup. And with the help of those RMAN backup, we're going to do that RMAN cloning using a conventional method, or RMAN cloning using, restore and recover, or RMAN duplicate command. Again, in RMAN duplicate command, active database duplication or duplication, RMAN duplication from the backups, all those will be like covered over here in the chapter number 15 and 14. And chapter number 16 for the patching, because patching is going to be one of the common exercise or activity for the DBS. So Oracle releases patches on quarterly basis 4 times in a year: Jan, April, July, and October. So it is the best practice to patch our database homes, database environment, keep them up to date with the latest security patch releases. We'll see what are the different types of patches and how we can apply using the OPatch or OPatch Auto, and then how we can apply on the grid binaries, Oracle binaries, and at the database level, what is OPatch, what is OPatch Auto, what is data patch, and then how I can apply on my grid home, how I can apply on my DB home. All those will be covered over here. And then how I can apply on my PDB level, CDB level, how I can apply at my standby database, how I can apply at my primary database. All will be like covered over here. Right. And then followed by chapter number 17, that's a database upgrade. So we'll be like understanding a in-depth concept about all the database upgrades. What are the various methods of my database upgrade? Using a cat upgrade SQL script, or using a Perl script, or using a shell script, or using a auto upgrade, 19C new feature auto upgrade, or using a GUI method called DBUA, database upgrade assistant. So there are various methods to do a database upgrade. We'll be doing a multiple database upgrade. We'll install 11G and 12C databases, and we'll upgrade all these 11G and 12C database to 19C with the various methods, right? So And converting your non-CDB as a PDB, one of the common activities for most of the customer. We convert non-CDBs as a CDBs. Right, and then we'll start with the data guard architecture. We'll understand in depth of my data guard. So basic understanding of data guard architecture. What are the different types of standby databases? Your physical standby, logical standby, snapshot standby, and what are the different modes of my standby database? Maximum availability, maximum performance, and maximum protection. How I can configure all these three modes, and then how I can switch between these three modes, and then how I can, build my standby database from the scratch. And then once I standby database is built, if the standby database goes out of sync, how I can make it sync, how I can do DR drill, DR switch, all those will be like covered over here. And then also we'll be covering if my FRA destination is full, my ARCA destination is full, how I can deal with that situation. And then followed by cell scripting. Cell scripting is going to be one of the common requirement or asked for the DBS because we can do a lot of automation using the cell script. We'll start with the basics of cell script and then we'll write one or two simple cell script, and then we'll proceed further with the advanced cell script with writing one complete automation or monitoring task of my day-to-day activities. Right, so that will be covered here in the as part of the cell scripting. And then we'll be understanding export import in depth. So what are the improvement in export, how I can do export of tables, schemas, or entire database, or a particular table space, or a particular data files, and then how I can restore it to my target server, how I can do remote export import, how I can do within the same server export import, how I can improve my export import. My export is running longer time, how I can improve that using parallelism or using some hints. All those will be covered here with the export and import. 19C, 12C, 19C new feature will be covered. A lot of new features with the 12C and 19C, everything will be covered here. And then followed by some of the performance tuning factors like AWR report, ADDM report, ASH report, how we can generate, how we can read them with by reading those reports, how I can suggest some of the recommendation to my or developers, like gather stats on a table, gather stats on a table, or a schema, or gather stats on a table or a schema, or the table move or table sync activity, or the rebuilding indexes, or applying the patches, or if the execution plan is got changed, how I can peg my best execution plan, how I can compare my old execution plan and the new execution plan. All those will be covered over here, and then followed by some of the real-time scenarios and some of the monitoring activity, proactive monitoring activity, or working with Oracle support, and then performance tuning factors like rebuilding index, gather stats, schema stats, and then generating AWR, ADDM report, and some of the miscellaneous live examples of real-time world. And then at the end of the course, we'll be covering some of the important factors about resume writing and cover letter. Very important. I'll be like uh, going through my own resume and then showing you how you're going to write your own resume and prepare a cover letter on that. And then each and every topic will be discussing a lot of interview questions and answers, and at the end of the course also we'll talk about interview questions and answers, and then followed by mock interviews. And then this is like just a write up. These are the topics are covered here, but in when we start our course, and when we discuss more and more, there will be a lot of questions answers will be discussed, and then a lot of students will be asking out of the box and out of this topics, anything other than these topics also will be covered. And then I'm happy to take if any of the topics is missing here, we'll be adding it, we'll be covering once we start our actual classes. So it's not limited to whatever I mentioned here. We'll be covering some more other topics based upon the student interest. If many people are willing to learn some other extra topics, advanced topics, so will be all included at the end of this course, and then will be covered those requested topics as a extra classes. So that all again depends upon how actively students are participates, and then how many students are interested. Collectively, we'll take all those recommendations, suggestions, and then we'll be covering those extra topics as a extra classes after end of this course. Right, that's a pretty much about today. Wanted to cover about this particular course curriculum, how it is going to look, and then what are the advantages of going through this particular course. Right. So again, don't forget, guys. We'll be conducting live demo classes. Already announced and already shared my Zoom link and the Zoom meeting ID and the passcode. So the live demo classes are on 15 September and 16 September 2022, Thursday and Friday, 9 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST. So we all see you in our live demo classes and we'll have a live interactions. We'll clarify all the questions or queries, and then we'll talk a lot more on the course and advantages of this particular database course. And on top of that, if you have any more further questions or queries, always feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp or call me on my WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number is 9880616848. I'm happy to answer, or I'm happy to take all your questions or queries. All right, guys, we'll see you on our upcoming demo classes. Thank you. Until then, take care. Bye bye.